Today, we're going to talk about the science of making interiors that are actually built to last. In those really demanding spaces, think hospitals, schools, public buildings, the walls take a relentless beating from people, from cleaning, from sunlight. We're going to dive into the technology that lets these important branded environments not just survive, but actually thrive. So for any of you who manage a facility or design these spaces, this question probably hits a little too close to home. You pour a ton of money and effort into these beautiful interiors, only to watch them start falling apart way too soon. It's just this frustrating, expensive cycle. So what's really going on? What's the core problem with the old way of doing things? Well, it pretty much boils down to three main culprits. You've got the constant physical contact from daily traffic, the chemical attacks from all those harsh cleaning products, and of course the non-stop bleaching from UV light. These three things create a perfect storm where traditional wall coverings, well, they just don't stand a chance. So let's really dig into what that stress looks like, because this isn't just about things looking a little worn out. We're talking about real, tangible failures that happen when you put standard materials into a high-demand, real-world setting. And these things you see here, they aren't just minor cosmetic issues. Every single one of them, from those peeling seams that collect grime to graphics that are so faded you can't read them, that translates directly into a maintenance call, a disruption, and a hit to the budget. It's a really costly cycle of patch and pray that so many places are just stuck in. But what if the answer wasn't just a slightly better material, but a completely different way of thinking? This is exactly where the industry is heading, away from just simple coverings and towards what you could call fully engineered surface systems. Now, let's be really clear. This is not just slapping on another layer of paint. Performance coatings are these highly engineered, totally transparent layers that actually bond with the graphic underneath. The result? You get this single, seamless surface that has protection built right into the design. It's a total game changer for durability and, just as importantly, for hygiene. The science behind it is pretty cool. It's really a multi-pronged attack. Each piece has a very specific job to do. You've got the urethanes for toughness and scratch resistance, silver ions to provide antimicrobial protection on the surface, and then these advanced UV absorbers that stop the sun from ruining the colors and graphics. Okay, so let's zoom in on two of the most critical benefits here: hygiene and UV protection. In places like hospitals or schools, these aren't just nice-to-haves. They're absolutely essential for keeping people safe and making sure your investment lasts. Think about it. High-touch surfaces are a constant battleground against bacteria. So the defense here is an antimicrobial finish. By building things like silver ions right into the coating, the surface itself actively fights the growth of bacteria. It's this persistent layer of protection that works alongside your regular, and often pretty aggressive, cleaning routines. And it's the exact same idea when it comes to light. The threat is that constant blast of UV rays from big windows and skylights, which just destroys colors and makes important text impossible to read. The shield is a UV-stable coating that blocks those harmful rays, keeping your brand colors looking sharp and your wayfinding signs perfectly clear for years. So the tech is obviously impressive, but the real value, the thing that gets people's attention, is the impact on operations and the bottom line. This is where we need to talk about the total cost of ownership and just how much more efficient this all is. When you put them head-to-head like this, the advantages are just so obvious. With traditional vinyl, the seams are where all the trouble starts. They're just magnets for dirt and damage. But the direct-to-the-wall method creates one solid, seamless surface. It stands up to harsh chemicals and then, and this is huge, at the end of its life, you just paint right over it. You completely eliminate that nightmare of scraping off old adhesive. Now, you might be thinking this all sounds really complicated to install, but it's actually just the opposite. The workflow is incredibly streamlined. It starts with digital mapping, then the graphic is printed right onto the surface, and finally, the performance coating is applied. The key here is that this all happens on-site with almost no disruption to whatever's going on in the building. And the speed? It's incredible. For a pretty typical area, the whole thing, from start to finish, can be done in under 5 hours. Just think about that for a second. A busy hospital corridor or a school lobby can be totally transformed overnight or between shifts, and it's ready to go almost immediately. So, when you put this all together, what you're really looking at is a fundamental change in how we should be thinking about our interior spaces. We can finally stop looking at our branded walls as this constant maintenance headache. It all adds up to a massive strategic advantage. We're talking about real, measurable wins, lower costs over the long run, way fewer maintenance calls. Your brand looks perfect all the time, and you get a safer, more sustainable space. And because it's paint over ready, you're basically future-proofing the building for the next redesign. And that really brings us to the core idea, which is summed up perfectly here. This technology turns something that used to be a fragile, high-maintenance problem, your branded walls, into a tough, high-performing asset that actually adds value to your facility for its entire life. So, I'll leave you with this final, critical question to chew on, especially if you manage or design a commercial space. Are your interiors just built for today, or are they actually engineered for the real demands of tomorrow? Thanks for joining me.